Oh my gosh, it's so important. It's almost like the only way to keep my mind when you're in like a really tough situation, you lost all your stability. It's terrifying. It's rejection too. Most people spiral into a panic, and I've had moments of that too, but that's not going to help me. So I just have to like really toughen up in those moments. And I start to notice like, okay, I just need a sense of control. That's what like the root of this is. I feel out of control because everything's been taken from me. What do I do? This is not fun. So, I do this thing called just being confidently delusional. Like it keeps me in a really healthy, positive, motivational headspace. And yeah, I use it for interviews. But even when I was unemployed, instead of sitting there, I was on vacation too, which made it even worse. I'm like, okay. I was like, what can I do in this moment right now? Because this is awful to feel like even some sort of control or like optimistic. And then I went into creating a strategic game plan. And that gave me some sort of structure. I'm like, okay, this situation is awful. It's out of your control. But like, what is there anything you can do in this moment? Yeah, I figured out my like survival income, my desired income. I started to get excited about the idea of like, hey, I made this much at that job. Maybe the next job I'll make this much. Like it starts to be exciting and you start to get hopeful. And that is exactly what happened anyway. It's almost like you manifest a better opportunity. And I had a very detailed, structured schedule. So that kind of kept me on track. I feel like if you have no structure, you're suddenly unemployed. It's really hard to just get out of bed. I mean, you're just spiraling. You just want to, watch movies all day. So having a structure gave me almost like purpose. And just being delusional when it came to the interview, like I don't track rejections. What other candidates? I'm the only candidate. I never asked about the competition. It's my pet peeve when recruiters tell me, they're like, oh yeah, they're interviewing 2 other people. I'm like, don't need to hear that.
Right.
So yeah, just being really delusional, almost going into the interview. Like, it's not an interview. This is a meet and greet. I'm the candidate. Like, yes, you wanted to meet me. Hi, it's helped.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Job Seeker's Journey podcast. First and foremost, it is an exciting day here in Oklahoma City. Our beloved hometown Thunder won the NBA championship for the very first time. There's a parade going on today. It is so exciting. Congratulations to the Thunder. Congratulations to the Indiana Pacers for a terrific season. Thoughts and prayers go up for Tyrese Halliburton and his injury, but it is such an exciting time here in Oklahoma City, and I'd be remiss not to acknowledge that and just be excited for the city. But today's episode is something that I'm also very excited about. Most of the time when I find a guest for this show, it is through LinkedIn. I either have requested for an expert in the job search market, I've talked to recruiters, I've talked to hiring managers, some of which I have known before, some I am just meeting for the first time. I have loved every guest that I have had on here, but today is a little bit different. Today's guest is known as Jesska. I found her while scrolling through TikTok, of all things. I am new to TikTok. I've only gotten on it to promote the podcast, but occasionally I'll get on it and see what is there. And Jesska's videos kept popping up in my For You feed, probably because I'm always looking at stuff about job searching and things like that. But I kept seeing her videos and I loved her message. I loved her attitude. I loved her mental toughness. I love the way she authentically networked with everyone. It was incredible. And thus, I sent her a direct message and asked if she'd be willing to come on, and she graciously said yes. I am so excited for this episode. Today, we are going to talk about those exact things. We're going to talk about being confidently delusional. We're going to talk about creating a plan and executing that plan to find your next job opportunity. And we're going to talk about how to authentically network with not only recruiters, but also with other professional contacts. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Jesska. All right, I am here with Jesska, And this is a very fun episode for me in that I discovered you in a different way than I've discovered any other guest. Most other guests I find on LinkedIn, and I've either see posts or they get recommended to me, or I've asked for recommendations, those type of things. And for you, I organically found you. I'm newer to Twitter or to TikTok, and I'm actually one of those people that came after the ban and then it got lifted. Like, I'm one of those people. I got in way late. But as I was scrolling through For You, you popped up. And I don't remember which video it was, but it was intriguing to me. And then I started, TikTok stalking you, and started really loving what you were saying. And so I reached out, and you were gracious enough to want to come on here. And I love the fact that I've talked to a lot of recruiters. I've talked to a lot of hiring managers. I've talked to all those, but I haven't talked to as many people who have gone through the experience of going on a job search as I would like. So here we are today. But before we kind of get into what we're going to talk about, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and what you do, and just introduce everybody to you.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, I'm excited to be here, so thank you. I'm Jesska. I make content on TikTok for now, just job search stuff. Honestly, it kind of happened organically on my end. Like, outside of this, I've always been the friend that helps people get jobs. Anyone who's unemployed, they text me. I've like built a really good relationship with recruiters. I'm really good at finding jobs. I'm really good at interviews. I have like a 90% success rate when it comes to them, just based on different strategies I do. And yeah, I started posting, I think, like consistently in January because I found out my contract was ending at my workplace. So a little bit of a spiral panic. I knew though, like I knew that I would be okay. And I'm like, you know what? I should document this. Like, let me just show the people, like, okay, this is the situation. We're about to be unemployed. Like this, what are we going to do? And yeah, I started documenting my journey. I ended up finding a job in 1 month. Okay. And then unfortunately, I lost that job almost like a month later. So then we were back to square one again. Deep in my heart, I'm like, you're going to be okay. This sucks. It's terrible. But like, let's show the people. What are we doing? So I ended up finding another job in 1 month, just again, based on different strategies and things that I've done to get here.
Yeah. When I
Yeah.
think that's what struck me was that your video clearly had a heart for the people you were talking to. And I
Yeah.
think that's what struck me was it wasn't like you were just making a video because you just wanted a lot of people to see it. It was you were making things that was going to be helping people, and that's what drew me in. I know, and I'm sure that's what draws in everyone that has watched your videos. So I think the first thing that you've said, and you just mentioned it, is that networking piece and that relationship that you have developed with recruiters, because relationships with recruiters can go all sorts of ways, right?
Right.
You have all different types of recruiters that get a hold of you, and unfortunately now sometimes you get fake ones and you get all kinds of things. But you seem to have this amazing relationship with recruiters where they're almost like looking for you always. And so I'm curious, how did you develop that relationship with recruiters? What's been your strategy to really get into a great relationship with them?
Yeah. I think um, starting off, like knowing which recruiters to reach out to, right? Because, like you said, there's so many out there. There's scams, like it's awful. Um, Over the years, even when I was unemployed, whenever I worked with someone who was from a recruiting agency, I would pay really close attention and I would ask them, like, oh, who are you with? And over time, I created like a list of my top recruiting agencies. Those are like, they recruit for a lot of the top agencies. And obviously, it just depends on your field. But for my field, I was able to compile a list of the top ones based on research and just based on learning from other people. And then I reached out to them I followed them. Sometimes people get, yeah, sometimes they ignore you, sometimes they ghost you, but you just got to keep it moving. Like I never focus on that. Um, Eventually, though, I would get calls from them. They just kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about my background. So, it's important to pitch yourself in that moment. And then my biggest thing is when they do reach out to you with an available position that, they want to submit you for, like respond ASAP, like stop, drop, and roll, whatever you're doing. I feel like some people are afraid of looking desperate. It's like they're desperate to fill the role.
Hmm.
They love really, really responsive people. So I always respond back right away. I give them an updated resume, 3 points as to why I'm qualified. Even if they don't ask, I'm like, you have to submit me. And, I give them my availability because oftentimes they'll want to screen you for a call. So that's how it started for me. That's what I would do. I was super responsive. If they would hit me up while I'm employed and, I don't just ghost them. It's almost like a partnership. I'm helping them. I'm like, I'm on assignment. I'm on assignment or I'm employed, but let me recommend someone to you. And then I would recommend a really good quality candidate for them. So I make their lives easier, they make mine easier. And then some of them I've worked with multiple times. So, I've been able to build a relationship with them that way. Yeah, it's pretty crazy though. Like you said, now I have ones that just text me every week. Like they know my rate, they know what I'm looking for, and they'll just check in. Sometimes they just give me life updates and they're like, how's it going? Are you looking? Do you know anyone looking? So yeah,
That's
hopefully that
that's
answers.
no, no, it totally does. And so like when you found out after a month that you had lost that job, which that sucks. I feel for that. I haven't
Second
had
one.
it at a month, but I've been within a year, and
Uh,
I know it's a lot to process. But are you kind of reaching out to them at that point whenever that happens to say, "Hey, I'm available now," and or do they just kind of know you well enough because of the way that you've gone back and forth that they say, "Hey, I see that she, put open to work on her banner or whatever it may be."
it's kind of a mix of different things. And I did want to talk about this too. So yes, I network a lot with the recruiters, and yes, sometimes I'll either reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'm looking, I'm in the market," and they're like, "Got you, okay." Or sometimes they'll notice on my LinkedIn that it says "open to work" just for recruiters. Um, Although I do think it's really important. I focus a lot on networking with actual um, former coworkers too. So the minute I find out that I'm employed or I'm looking or someone's looking, I will reach out to a handful of people to let them know. I have to say, a lot of the jobs that I have gotten have been because of referrals from actual people and a mix of referrals from recruiters. The most recent one, though, just to give people hope, got it with no referrals. So, you don't, it is good to know people. And I think that's pretty critical, actually, but it's possible to get a job without knowing people. So,
Yeah, and that's good to hear too, because I mean, a lot of the talk you hear now is like the hidden market. In fact, I just had a conversation yesterday about like the hidden job market,
what is
which
that?
is all focusing on the networking piece within companies and just getting to know people within the companies without necessarily trying to say, "Hey, I need a job," but really trying to just get in good with them to where eventually, organically it could be a referral. They could think of a position that they're not even posting, and then they're thinking of you before then. And there's like crazy statistics out there that there's so many of those type of jobs now,
Oh, for sure.
more than ever. And so that was a really interesting piece. In fact, I saw you post on that about you will seek out where those people may go to like happy hour. Did I get that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is such a
Pitch
cool
in the right
strategy that you don't think of.
Yeah, exactly. You never know, and they're just there working or doing whatever too. You don't have to be weird about it. You can you can just like work on your laptop. I'm going to be working remote. Maybe why can't I work right across? I'll give an example. I used to work for Amazon, but I would know exactly where to go, where the people from Amazon go for lunch in Culver City, for example. So, yeah, just put yourself out there. However you have to, and just be super authentic and organic. Even if you are looking for work, it's kind of almost like having game. Like you don't want to just go up to someone and be like, "Hey, I'm looking for work. Can you help me?"
Hmm.
No one wants to feel used. That does not come across as genuine. I think the best type of networking is just literally being authentic, like be their friend, be
Yeah.
authentic. Don't don't try to get something out of them. I do have to say people love to help, and like when people ask me for help or for referrals, it makes me feel good. I love doing it, but sometimes it's approach. I think if you're just authentic and organic, it's just going to happen for you.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And there's so much. If there's one theme that I think has came with every guest I've had on here, it's some form of like authentic conversation, authentic networking, value driven conversations, trying to focus on the person you're talking to and asking them about what their needs are, what their holes are,
Right.
and then how you may be able to solve those can come up organically. And it's not like a transactional conversation where everybody's weary of transactional conversations. We're all in them. You have salespeople hit you up all the time where it's completely transactional. It just feels weird and doesn't normally get you anywhere. So I love that that is like the theme of everyone
For sure.
is let's get back to that. Yes, there's a lot of technology with LinkedIn, with all the different job boards and all of those things, but try to get back to that authentic, like human to human conversation and making it authentic. So yeah, I just love that. And
I
I
feel
think that, oh,
oh
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I feel like I forgot to mention this. When most people think of like networking or networking events, networking with people, they think of it as, like you said, a really stale, transactional. You're in some conference room trading business cards, but like in my mind, networking is just almost like living life. Like
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet up with a friend for brunch, and she has a senior position at like a marketing firm in LA. Sure, that is kind of networking, right? Like obviously we always talk about work and stuff, but at the same time, I'm just catching up. We're just catching up over eggs. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So networking, I feel like people almost take it too seriously. It's like just let it be organic. It's just hanging out with people, texting people, hey, how's it going? I think that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And the other thing that struck me when I was what I'm calling stalking you on TikTok is you talked a lot about mental toughness. In fact, you have a kind of theme throughout a lot of them, which is, being confidently delusional,
Yes.
not only in probably the search, but in the interviews and all of that. And I just absolutely love that that's kind of a theme because I think it's so important for people because it is a lot. You deal with rejection constantly. You're dealing with rejection at the very beginning. If you lose your job, you've dealt with a rejection of some sort.
Right.
Um, and then from there, it just builds and builds and builds, and it's easy to get caught up in that. So when you talk about, can you talk about like how you have developed this confidence or being confidently delusional and what that means for people to try to get that in their repertoire of daily life when going through this search?
Yeah, for sure. I think oh my gosh, it's so important. It's almost like the only way to keep my mind when you're in like a really tough situation, you've lost all your stability. It's terrifying. It's rejection too. Most people spiral into a panic, and I've had moments of that too. But that's not going to help me. So I just have to like really toughen up in those moments, and I start to notice like, okay, I just need a sense of control. That's what like the root of this is. I feel out of control because everything's been taken from me. What do I do? This is not fun. So I do this thing called just being confidently delusional. Like it keeps me in a really healthy, positive, motivational headspace. And yeah, I use it for interviews. But even when I was unemployed, instead of sitting there, I was on vacation too, which made it even worse. I'm like, Okay. So I was like, what can I do in this moment right now? Because this is awful to feel like even some sort of control or like optimistic. Um, and then I went into creating a strategic game plan. And that gave me some sort of structure. I'm like, okay, this situation is awful. It's out of your control. But like, what is there anything you can do in this moment? And yeah, I figured out my like survival income, my desired income. I started to get excited about the idea of like, hey, I made this much at that job. Maybe the next job I'll make this much. Like it starts to be exciting and you start to get hopeful. And that is exactly what happened anyway. It's almost like you manifest a better opportunity. And I had a very detailed, structured schedule. So that kind of kept me on track. I feel like if you have no structure, you're suddenly unemployed. It's really hard to just get out of bed. I mean, you're just spiraling. You just want to, watch movies all day. So having a structure gave me almost like purpose. And just being delusional when it came to the interview, like I don't track rejections. What other candidates? I'm the only candidate. I never
Nice.
asked about the competition. It's my pet peeve when recruiters tell me they're like, "Oh yeah, they're interviewing two other people." I'm like, "Don't need to hear that." Like,
Right.
so yeah, just being really delusional, almost going into the interview. Like, it's not an interview. This is a meet and greet. I'm the candidate. Like, yes, you wanted to meet me. Hi, So it's helped.
Yeah. Does that change a little bit when you're in an interview as far as between like a very first one to obviously once you get past that first one, it really becomes like we're getting to know you at this point. Can you work with us? Do we like you? Those kind of things. But is that a little bit different in the very first ones where a lot of times they're asking you about background and all
Right.
of those things?
Questions. Yes, 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 for sure. That's a great question, and that's the pattern that I notice. Typically, the first one is with the like once you get past the phone screenings and all that. The
Sure.
first one will be with the hiring manager. So that's where, sure, I am a little bit more toned back, but I'm still smiley, conversational. Like, hey, I'd love to work with you. Um, I focus on that, but also being really strategic in my answers. I'm listening and picking up on cues. If they talk about some of the challenges the team faces, I'm going to make sure to, at some point in the conversation, connect my experience to those
Yeah.
challenges, try to prove like, you guys have that problem. Well, guess what? At this job, we also had that problem. And because of me, we resolved it. Like that sort of thing. I'm constantly connecting my experience with their challenges and the skills they need. But then, yes, in the second interview, the vibe check, that's what I call fun. Like, let's have fun. We're going to have a good time. And in my last interview, we were laughing. We were talking about like all these topics. Like, I don't know anything about hockey, but one of the people on the team, we were talking about hockey. They named someone on a team, and I looked at her. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but got it. We don't like him. Okay. And we just have a
Nice.
fun time. We ended up going over the interview. So that, that's where I kind of like let loose.
So when you are going through this process, are you one of those people that are you a person who just takes frequent breaks over the course of the day? Because one of the things that you hear a lot is that people burn themselves out almost making the job search process, the constantly revising your resume, the looking for jobs, all the different things. They burn themselves out doing that almost as a full time job. And then it just wears them down to the point of exhaustion. So, are you someone who will take those frequent breaks and kind of go out and just kind of dedicate certain parts of your day to that, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's an important question. And I definitely feel I love to be productive and I feel like I am productive, but I burn out. I'm really I want to say like I live deep inside my head, super self-aware. So I'm always listening to my own cues. I'm like, "Oh, you're not excited about this. Okay, then don't do it, Take a
Mm-hmm.
break." I think it's important to just don't get too comfortable. I mean, if you're not applying to jobs and it's been like 5 months, we might have to reevaluate a couple things, but yeah, as much as I have a strategic game plan and I try to stay super structured, yeah, there's times where I'm like, actually, I don't want to do this at all right now. Maybe in 2 hours. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll just revisit that task. But there are days where in the past when I was looking, where I was going really hard, applying to like 15 places a day, tailoring my resume, going to networking events, doing everything. And I just took like a 3 day break where I did nothing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's
Sure.
healthy, actually.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that people have is that they just jump right in. They don't evaluate where they're at. They don't let themselves deal with the emotion. They don't let themselves deal with wherever they're going through. And then they just overdo it
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And I get different situations are different. Some people financially have to be motivated that they're at that point where I've got to find a job right now and all of that. But I think it can hurt the process over the course of time because you're just not recharging your batteries and maybe not thinking, hey, maybe there's a better strategy here that I can take for that.
For sure.
I do want to keep talking about these interviews because I did see you say, and you may have already touched on this, but you mentioned some of your follow-up questions and how there are times when you nailed that follow-up question. What is your strategy for those follow-up questions to really feel like, man, I think I did the best I can do on this?
Yeah. I honestly, I don't focus too much on asking questions. I'm trying to remember what questions I asked this past interview because I remember they were good. I know sometimes I'll try really hard to get them to visualize me being the new
Mm-hmm.
hire. So I'll say stuff, I'll ask things like, what do the first 30 days look like? Like, what would it look like for me, for example? And then that to kind of picture you in the role starting. Or I'll ask, I know I was in like a vibe check interview recently, and sometimes it's just fun questions. I mean, interviews are kind of boring, right? You're just talking about
Mm-hmm.
experience. I try to make it fun. I'm like, what do you like to do? Last 2 interviews ago, I mean, I was talking about like improv comedy clubs in LA and just off topic. We're having a great time laughing, and yeah. Um,
Side note, which one's your favorite?
UCB in Franklin
Nice.
Village. Yeah, I love it. I think Amy Poehler started it. I love going to shows there. I've
I got to
trained
go to
there.
one. I got to go to one when I lived out there, and it
Really?
was fun. It was a lot of fun.
UCB?
Yeah,
Oh
I
my gosh.
did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love UCB. I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I go to a lot of their shows.
Because let's see, what's the other one? The Groundlings, I think, is
Groundlings,
another
yeah.
one.
I think I've
I
only been
hear.
to one show
Oh,
there,
that's
but
cool.
yeah, UCB is fun.
Sorry, I derailed you, but
No.
I got really interested. I heard you say that before, and I was curious which one it was.
Oh, well, that brings me to another point. I haven't really talked about this a lot, but improv is like a really good skill when it comes to interviews. I Yapping. I mean, you could start any topic, any conversation. Those skills just train you to be comfortable in any like uncertain, unpredictable environment. So, like an interview, you don't know what's coming, what they're going to ask. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I highly recommend improv. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and it's just one of those things that just helps you everywhere in life.
I love that. I love that. Um, so as we I want to respect your time, and so as we kind of wrap this up, I am kind of curious. You mentioned your strategic game plan. But if somebody was to come to you and say, "Hey, what is your game plan?" Would you mind walking us through that real quick and just letting people know what you do and hopefully it'll click with someone else?
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to remember the details of it. So when I first found out that I was suddenly unemployed and I'm in on vacation across the country, I immediately created my own strategic game plan, and I didn't know how long I would be unemployed. Deep down, I'm like, we're going to be okay soon, but yeah, you don't know; it's out of your control. So I was like, okay, I'm not making any money now. What do I actually need to make just to survive? Forget the nails, the eyelashes, the hair. Like, what is your survival income? I figured out that number. Then I just to be, keep it positive, I was like, okay, but how much are you going to be making very soon? It was nice to have those numbers there. And then I started getting into side hustles. I'm like, we're not just going to sit here. We're going to apply to jobs. We're going to network. We're going to reach out to recruiters, our own network. do all the right things, but what can I be doing for my side hustles that'll help me reach that survival income goal? Because I don't know how long this is going to last. And to be honest, I had quite a few things on there. One of them was even like I got reached out to teach courses on LinkedIn, kind of so random, but
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, and maybe I will do that still. I don't know if it's too late, but yeah, I had a couple different side hustles. One of them, like I have always been I never have time to declutter. There's so many things I'm trying to get rid of. That's been on my to-do list for like 7 years. So I was like, "Ooh, I'm unemployed. I could finally get rid of things." So I donated a lot. Then I started reselling. That kind of took off for me and kept me very busy. I was at the post office every day, photographing things. So that was one of my side hustles. Um, yeah. So, okay, moving on from the side hustles. Then I went into mindset anchors because, or no, sorry, before mindset anchors, I went into schedule. What time am I waking up at? What time of the day am I applying to jobs? Just having like a little bit of a structure, and it can be flexible, just to make sure that I'm doing something that'll help me get a job. And then I went into mindset anchors because sometimes you just have moments where you're like, this is awful. This is hard. You start kind of mentally spiraling. And I needed something to look at and read that would kind of like reset me and be like, hey, like you're doing the right things. You're okay. This is temporary. This is kind of cool. Like, what do you mean you're a reseller and you're not in some meeting? You know, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I tried to be positive and yeah, maybe be confidently delusional. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm an entrepreneur. Like, great. So whatever
Yeah.
you need to do, that really helped keep me on track.
Yeah, and I mean it looks good too. If they ask what you've been up to, especially if you have a long gap, then you can be
Yeah,
like, "Well, I haven't been sitting around. Yes, I've been applying for things and been hoping for things, but like uh I've also been doing this. So I'm taking care of what I have to take care of." It looks good. It's better than being like, "Man, I've just been on the grind trying to find something."
right.
So I think that's great. Not only does it help bring in income, but it shows that, hey, I'm not just sitting around. I'm driven. I want to do things. And so that's cool. So what would be my last question for you? What would be your first piece of advice for your friend who comes to you and says, "Hey, this just happened to me. I'm scared. I don't know what to do." What would be your first piece of advice for them to do, to get started on this journey?
Yeah. I that happens to me a lot. Like a lot of people in my real life will text me and so the first thing we do is I typically will meet with them and I'll bring my laptop, but I let's optimize your LinkedIn. I mean, that's what I do. Oh, I didn't mention that and that's important too. A lot of I feel like optimizing your LinkedIn is really important too, making sure you make use of all the different sections on LinkedIn just to help with SEO, engaging with LinkedIn to just get you in on that algorithm, being very mindful of what you're liking, commenting, liking, like it's not Facebook, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I optimize their LinkedIn. We clean it up. We make sure they have skills for every single section. We make sure the header is nice and clear. Like I know a lot of people like to squeeze in a lot there. Recruiters, when they land on your page, they're not digging through everything. They just make it easy for them, you know. So I do that with them just to get them going. And then I'll look at their resume. I like to use a very specific template. There's a lot of templates out there. But essentially, I like templates that have a professional summary because that's the thing I'm going to tailor to the job. And then I like ones that have skills at the top, skills and technical skills at the top, because again, I feel like that's easy to tailor and the thing they're going to look at first. And then from there, I will, depending on their field, I'll give them that list that I have of all those recruiting agencies, the top ones. And I'll start introducing them to, like, I'll get an email from a recruiter, but, maybe employed. So I'll say, hey, I highly recommend this person. And then that person ends up also getting on their radar. That happened recently. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Hmm.
Well, Jessica, I can't thank you enough for coming on here. I know it's always weird when someone kind of DMs you out of nowhere, but you were so gracious to answer me and be willing to meet with me even before this, and then come on here and share kind of what's worked for you. Because I think one of the things that made it a kindred spirit with me is that you were like me. You're going through it just like I am, just like the people that would listen to this would be. And so where can somebody go to find you? I mean, I know you're all over my TikTok algorithm now, but where can someone go to find you and, you know, listen to all these great things? Because I know you've listed out all these things, the agencies, the LinkedIn stuff that you were just talking about. I know you got videos for that. So where can they find you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to start getting better about cross promoting, but I am primarily right now on TikTok. My handle's at OHJESSKA. It's the exact same handle on Instagram and YouTube as well. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Great. Well, hey, thank you so much. And congratulations, because I know we didn't talk about it, but congratulations that you did find your next opportunity and you get to start soon. So congratulations on that. And hopefully down the road, we get a chance to cross paths again. And who knows, maybe there's something else we can talk about on here. So
Yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
for joining us.
For sure. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Job Seeker's Journey podcast. I want to thank Jesska for coming on. I want to thank her for graciously being willing to join this podcast and for allowing someone who just saw her content on TikTok, allowing me to send her a message and being willing to come on. It was great. As you can tell, her charisma, her zest for life is contagious, and you can tell why she is successful in finding a new job opportunity. I highly encourage you to go onto TikTok if you have a TikTok account and look up her account, Jesska, OHJESSKA, and just check out what she has to say. It is very, very encouraging, very helpful, and something I think you will enjoy. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, thank you very much for hitting that play button. If you have listened to many of these episodes, I cannot thank you enough for your continued support. If you listen to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Play or anywhere else that you can find audio podcasts, please like and subscribe to this podcast and help me get in front of more people. If you're watching this on YouTube, first of all, thank you. And second of all, please like, subscribe, make a comment, start that conversation going and getting this in the algorithm so that more people can see this content and hopefully feel encouraged and get useful information as they go through their job search. But that'll do it for this episode. I want to thank you again, and we'll see you soon.